Here we go. Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Wanted to do a quick update here. Just looking at the chart of SoundHound AI, ticker symbol SOUN, listed here on the NASDAQ. Stock closed 979, down about a quarter, 2.33%. We can see after hours we're up about 6-7 cents right now. But I just wanted to look at the chart real quick. There's really not much news. If we go back, we looked at the stock about 3 weeks ago, I think. And we can see, of course, we're still talking about this class action suit. We're coming down, short squeeze in the making. This right here is a good piece of info right here. We had Piper Sandler initiate their coverage on SoundHound. They gave it an overweight rating with a price target of $12 a share. So right out of the gate, boom, that's like 25, almost 30% higher than where the stock's trading right now. So for a first look at the stock, in my opinion, I think that's pretty good news. I still like SoundHound long term. I kind of laid that out multiple times. In the short term, of course, we could have a break. We could potentially come down to like this trend line here, 7.5. But I really don't think that's going to happen because it seems like, in my opinion, a lot of these stocks that people are anticipating good growth over the next 1, 2, 3 years. These stocks seem to be kind of holding their value and steadily going on the up and up, right? Stocks like SoundHound, stocks like ASTS, right? People are anticipating over the next 1 to 2 years, revenue is going to start coming in, more deals are going to be signed, and you can see a stock like that has kind of been holding its value, right? Which means we have a lot of buying and holding. We don't have a lot of selling. So as long as the markets overall, tech overall, right, continues to see high demand, and we keep, hearing positive updates and headlines coming out of the AI sector, then yeah, something like SoundHound will probably, in my eyes, continue to step up and just keep climbing over time. You can see right here, this could be a potential neckline. Almost looks like a head and shoulders, but if we do happen to have a break here, again, we could come down to about this trend line here of about 7.5. I kind of still like it here, even in the 9s. Obviously, if it drops to the 7s, I'm going to like it even more. Market cap, $3.9 billion, right? So, of course, if we look at the revenue they're bringing in, or even what they're guiding for, right, like 160, 170 million for the year, of course, yes, if you look straight at the revenue, you can say that the stock is overvalued. But you and I both know these companies trade at multiples, right, of their value. So we can pull up basically any stock and we can make the argument that they're overvalued, especially in this market. So again, could it drop? Could it break? Of course. But also at the same time, it seems like a lot of these trending stocks are maintaining their value and are consistently climbing. And again, I know it's a little bit of a different company, but it's also kind of a trending stock that took off. I always like to bring up ASTS, right? And something like SoundHound, again, 3.9 billion market cap, right? And ASTS, I'll try to do a quick update here because, again, we got a little bump here. A lot of these space stocks, even like Rocket Lab, right? We had the back and forth little spat going on with Elon and Trump. So then he was talking about, I'm just going to like shut it down. I'm not going to do any more space contracts. So then all the space companies, Rocket Lab, ASTS, all those stocks popped up. But you can see overall, something like ASTS has been holding its value, right? And that's the point I'm trying to make. It seems like the trending stocks that are expected to do well over the next year or two aren't really having big pullbacks. And when they do, they kind of immediately bounce back pretty much to where they were. So that's why I think something like SoundHound is probably going to hold up pretty well. But again, quick comparison, ASTS back on the up and up here in the mid 30s. Look at the market cap, almost 12 billion, right? And this company technically isn't doing anything yet. So if we straight up compare company status to company status between ASTS and SoundHound, technically you have to say that SoundHound is growing better, is more on the up and up, right, and is bringing in more money. So again, should SoundHound have a $12 billion market cap? Yeah, that's your call. That's your call also. In my opinion, that would be a little extreme. But again, this right here is a little extreme. So that's why, if something like this is going to be able to hold its value sitting here at $11-12 billion market cap, SoundHound at 3.9, 4.2 billion, that's that's not too overvalued in my eyes anyway. But you can see that this is the bottom here in February 24, going into these earnings. That's when we got the news that Nvidia was an investor, if you recall, and boom, we had the big breakup, right? And then we pulled back, we consolidated. This is where people get bored. People start to question themselves. Oh, did I buy the right stock? Should I just sell it and buy some options? Blah, blah, blah. And then boom, that's when we have the breakout, right? So this is what I want you to start understanding as well. Social media is powerful, and it can continue to climb a stock up and up and up day after day. There's no doubt about it, right? We've seen it. But also, what I want you to notice is you see how these stocks have these breakups, and then they quiet down and they consolidate. Look at this, for several months. And again, people may have gotten impatient. People may have sold here at 4, 5, and then boom, you had the breakout to 20 plus. And they're potentially saying it could happen again. We'll check the short interest in a second. But again, the point is you have these big breakups, then you have a consolidation period, then we break up again, right? And then obviously markets pulled back, everything pulled back. Now we're kind of slowly stepping back up. But the point again is the consolidation period, the stock has to quiet down, everything has to tighten up, and then you have the next break up or break down. So you see this happening time and time again. But this right here again is just a potential head and shoulders that might be forming, but also I'll show you the strength it has off the moving averages, right? But first, if we do happen to bounce and climb up, you see we could be hitting about 12.5. And then if we do happen to get back above this trend line, I think we're going to see about 14, maybe like 14.25, 14.33, and then you're going to potentially have a break up here to like 16.5. I think that's what's going to happen because again, this is going from the low before the Nvidia news, and you can see that we bounced, we came essentially like right to the line, and then we broke up, and then we pulled back. You can see, look, the test on the line, it wanted to hold the line, had the quick break, and now if we zoom in, you can see, look, essentially almost testing the line, coming back down, getting up, breaking above the line, coming right back down to retest it, coming right up to test the line, right? So I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but if, in my opinion, this stock runs back up to the 12s and gets back above this key support level, you can see the majority of this time of this chart that we're looking at, the stock was above this trend line and holding steady. So again, if we do happen to get above here, like this 12 plus range, and get back above this support level, I think we're going to bump up and then bump up again. And we could potentially see even higher highs, right? If these trends continue. Where are we here? 10.25. If we come up, right, even conservatively, if we want to do it like that. Bring us out a little bit. Boom. If we go like there, right? Well, now we're off the screen. But you can see if we stay above the line and we continue to step, right, and make these higher lows and higher highs, then, I mean, technically, we could have a break up and break out to $40 a share. Now, it seems extreme. It seems extreme, right? Because we're talking, what, 4x in value from this current point. But again, $4 billion market cap, 4x in value would be $16 billion. Would it be a little extreme? Absolutely, in my opinion. Absolutely. However, again, at the same time, ASTS doing nothing and sitting at $12 billion. So if a company doing nothing is worth $12 billion, then a company doing something could be worth 15, 16, 18 billion. Right? Now, again, it might be a quick short squeeze breakup. And then it might immediately pull itself back down. Just like it did here. But it could potentially be coming. And again, you're looking at about 12 and change, maybe 12.25, 12.5 maybe over the next couple of weeks. We come here, we look at the pivot points real quick. We can see we're looking at the daily. You can see that the stock, again, we had the breakdown markets pulled back, we dropped below the 200-day, we were dancing around for about a week or two, then we got back above the 200-day, and you can see for the most part, it's been holding. Even when it comes down and slightly breaks it, it immediately bounces and gets back above it. So it seems like it's really been holding these moving averages tightly. So that's why, again, potential head and shoulders to a breakdown, maybe, but more importantly, in my eyes, I'd personally be watching these moving averages. That would be your indicator, in my opinion. You want to keep an eye on the 200-day, right, which is 976, but the 50-day down here at 9 1/3. In my opinion, that's what it has to hold, right, because that's what it's been bouncing off of since the comeback. So if it breaks that, then you're going down probably, in my eyes, to the low 8s. 8 1/4, 8 1/3, and potentially even breaking to the high 7s. So in my eyes, that's the level I would watch. But on the way up, next pivot point about 10 1/2. After that, about 12 1/4, 12.27. And again, if we were to immediately come up, you can see you're looking at about 12.20 and change, right? 12.26 over the next week or so. So in my opinion, it might be coming. And if we double check here on the weekly, RSI on the daily, by the way, was 48.5, middle of the road. RSI here on the weekly, same thing, 49, essentially flat. But you can see here on the weekly as well, you can see how we've gotten above this 50-day moving average back when we got that February earnings report. And we've essentially been on the up and up, right? We had the break here in April, dropped down for a week, came back up, tried to test the next week, and then the next week we got back above it, right? We dropped back down below it, but then closed the week above it. And then 2 weeks later, we come down, we test the moving average, then have a big bounce off of it. Consolidate, tighten up, come down, test the moving average, and then have a little bounce off of it, right? So in my opinion, those are the levels you have to keep an eye on. And on the daily, it was 933, the 50-day, and here on the weekly, 929. So in my opinion, those are the levels I would personally be watching. And of course, roughly 12 1/4 to the upside. So those are the levels, in my opinion, I would be watching for break up or break down. MACD here, what are we looking at? MACD here on the weekly completely flattened out. And again, you can see we're tightening, we're flattening, and we could potentially start to curl and cross back to the upside, right? We crossed to the downside back in February, had the big drop. We're beginning to curl and flatten out now. So that was, we're talking 4 months ago, 5 months ago, potentially. We're approaching and change. So the cross back to the upside could be coming. And also, I want to show you again, we have these bounces, and then you can see how the stock tightens. We begin to consolidate. Look at the Bollinger Bands, how they tighten. Boom, we have the break up. We come down, we tighten, we consolidate, we get very boring. Look at the Bollinger Bands, tightening. Boom, we have the break up. We sold off with the market. We bounce back a little bit. We start to consolidate. Look at the Bollinger Bands now, top and bottom, curling down and up respectively, beginning to potentially tighten again, possibly preparing for the next break up. You understand? So in my opinion, that's what I'm looking for here on the technical side of SoundHound. Of course, we know I feel like economic data doesn't even matter anymore. I mean, even if unemployment is up, down, or sideways, it doesn't matter. People are more concerned about the tariffs now, who Trump is going into a meeting with, who's tweeting about what, right? So it's all become about tweets and meetings. I feel like it's not even about economic data anymore. But overall, if the average investor remains confident, if we're doing more buying than selling, if we're consistently getting good updates and good demand coming out of, again, things like our tech sector, then something like SoundHound should, in theory, continue to step up and up. So we'll see what happens there. Let's check the MACD on the daily, actually. Yeah, very, very tight. You can see we crossed to the downside about 3 weeks ago. Evened up, almost tried to cross back to the upside, but then we rejected. We kind of just been slowly slipping. You can see the stock basically for the most part just kind of hanging out flat, bouncing off of these moving averages. And that's why, again, you can also see on the daily we have some potential tightening starting with the Bollinger Bands as well. So could happen sooner rather than later. And also, if we switch over to FinViz, we can see the short float right now sitting at 31.5% of the float is currently shorted. Right? And again, you can see the down channel, and now we're kind of sideways, we're tightening, and we're potentially ready to break up and out, in my opinion. But yeah, I wanted to show you that short float as well, because again, if we do happen to bounce and get up and approach this line and really break up and out, that's when the volume's going to come back in, the shorts are going to cover, and the stock's going to have another breakup. Again, I think it's coming. I think it's coming. I don't see any news to really hinder the stock, and again, as long as our tech and our big name tech companies like Nvidia, as long as everyone still has high demand and we're still talking positively about AI and we're going to incorporate it into this and that, then yeah, in my opinion, I think something like SOUN should continue to kind of hold its value and go on the up and up. And I still like it here. And if we do happen to have a breakdown, well, you guys know, like I always say, if we like it at, you know, whatever, 9 and change, if it drops down to the 7s and the 6s again, then technically we should like it even more. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So I'll end it there. Once again, stocks by the numbers. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comment section. I'm very quick to reply, right? That helps the algorithm also, you know, like the video and all that stuff, share the video. But subscribe to the channel. That's our handshake agreement, right? That's really all I ask. That's how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they're very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.